So this is the haul that I've got of all of the manuscripts that I have got that were handwritten or typed up on a computer back from the 90s. I did start writing when I was 18, which would be the late 80s. So obviously it'll have been the first one of these, which I don't know exactly which one it was, would have been completed maybe in the early 90s. So I think that I'm going to look at some of the dates because I'm sure I put dates on these somewhere along the line. So let's put them to one side. We'll look at these ones first. So when I was a teenager, I just used to kind of sit in my bedroom, lock the door, and I'd just write away with I had all of these ideas for these stories, and I would just immerse myself in all of these different stories. And I thought I was going to be this great, successful writer, kind of in my youth. But obviously that turned out not to be the case. I started writing when I was 18. I'm now 58, so that is 40 long years that I've been trying to become, first of all, a novelist, and then I got sidetracked to become a screenwriter and a filmmaker. I did that for many years, trying to break into the film industry. I kind of learned my writing craft, writing film scripts, and I would occasionally go back to writing novels. And I did publish a novel in 2016. That was my first one that I published. And then I withdrew it after a short while. It was a sci-fi kind of about an android detective. It was called Stephanie Steele. But let's get back into what I was going to show you. So this brings back so many memories of when I was a youth trying to be a writer. This is the Planet of the Apes one, and it's 76 pages long. The opening scene is an exterior ruined city, outskirts of village, day. We see Brady being chased and fired upon by Torgo. Torgo is like this gorilla. Brady's like a human. So Brady takes a pistol from his waistband of his trousers, and stopping, he turns and fires at Torgo, who is chasing. Torgo ducks behind a pile of rubble, and Brady turns and runs away. Another shot rings out, and Brady looks back over his shoulder as he runs. Like I say, I was a big Planet of the Apes fan, and then this is another one which I think was the sequel to it. How many pages is that? That's 83 pages. Not really long enough to be a film script, to be honest. So this is the first book in the kind of Flowers in the Attic kind of rip-off that I was writing, and it was called Rapeseed, and I thought it was quite a catchy title. And it's because it turns out like the main character, she gets raped, but the farmer, like the farm nearby, is growing oilseed rape. So that's kind of a play on those two kind of situations that were happening in the storyline. So you've got the rape and rape seed because it turned out she was a product of rape. This girl turns out. So there's all these kind of family secrets that are going on. So there's a bit of description about this picturesque village. Red hot pokers tower fiercely over decorative dahlias of numerous colours alongside lanky orange-yellow sunflowers with their beaming smiles, and the English rose, so proud and noble and beautiful, its intricate petals so soft and delicate to the touch, beguiling you towards its hard thorny stem, so eager to prick your hand at the slightest touch. Swifts and swallows dart through the air, soundless throughout the hot summer days, making their homes under the eaves of the rows of pretty whitewashed cottages. So I just go on and like describe this whole bloody village. It just goes on. It's almost like a blinking prologue. Just goes on and on and on. Goes on and on and on. And then we introduce the main character, who's called Amy, and she's having some kind of interaction with different characters in the village. And she's this kind of nice girl who does lots of favours for different people. She does like an old person's garden, and she does all this kind of carry on. She lives by herself, and it's just like this whole kind of creepy situation with her family. She's like her parents are dead, and they've died in mysterious circumstances. And she's looking into her family history, and she just discovers all these different secrets about her own personal history, where she comes from, what happened with her parents, other members of her family, etc., etc. So that was the first one. 341 pages of typed up manuscripts. I don't know how that would relate to the layout of like a page count for a normal book. If I was to type it up and kind of format it properly, I don't know if it would be still 341 pages. Then we've got, so these four pads are all the sequel to that one, and this was called Growing the Seed. And again, it just continues the story of her finding out all these different family secrets. And then this is this is the third one, which is called Reaping the Seed. And I've got this little family history, kind of family tree that I've created for her and her parents and her grandparents. And I've put like, dates of birth, and there's gaps in there because there's some of these gaps we kind of learn about as the story goes along. I didn't finish this story. I got sidelined with many of the projects that I used to do. I used to get sidelined by something new, and I would put that aside, and then I would get on with something else, and that would get forgotten about, and then I would maybe come back later or not, which has happened like so many times. I think it's quite a common thing with like writers. They'll get started on a project, and they'll think of something else, and they'll leave that project, and they'll go and do another one. And like the same thing with for me, I would just like put loads and loads. I've got loads of unfinished like projects that I just haven't like bothered to finish because I was doing something else. And then when I wanted to go back to it, and I thought, I'm not really interested in doing that anymore. So it'll just get left. So I've got loads of like kind of projects that just like fell by the wayside. But I've still got all of those projects, all of those manuscripts, either these ones that are written in like longhand or typed up or on a computer on a hard drive somewhere. So this one, let's have a look, is this is a typed up manuscript for the first script, because this is a film script. The first script for the rip off of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. It's called They Wash Their Hands in Muddy Water. So that was, and as you can see from this, look, the typewriter has just run out of ink, and it's got progressively like fainter and fainter. So all these manuscripts that I've got were like early kind of work that I've always thought that I might go back to this someday, and maybe potentially, especially the rapeseed storyline, it could potentially be a decent series of novels. Obviously, I'd have to start from scratch and work out everything from scratch and rewrite it, because a lot of this early work is really, really amateur. You know what I mean? It just I couldn't use any of this. But I think there's a seed of a storyline in there, and the two Planet of the Apes ones, I could certainly rework them as a couple of sci-fis, and just obviously get rid of the apes and maybe have some kind of alien invasion type thing going on. I can't remember what the actual storyline was for those stories, so I'd have to go back and look. So one thing I would say is, do not get rid of your old story stuff that you've written, even though you think it's the worst thing that you've ever written. This is the worst stuff that I've ever written, to be honest, but I've kept it over the years because I know that it's not just something that you can look back on nostalgically, but it also has the seeds of potential. You could actually go back to this, if you keep all of your stuff, go back to this, and there might just be a little kernel of a story there that you can use and come up with something that could be a bestseller for all you know. So some of this in here, I intend to, if I get time, to maybe potentially go back to this stuff and try and create a book or a couple of books out of some of this. So I've had these for like 30 odd 40 years now. So I've got no intention of getting rid of them, and I've got hard drives full of loads of scripts and loads of short stories that I've written over the years. And there's definitely stuff in there that I thought is worth developing into novels, so that I've got masses and masses of loads of storylines and scripts, short stories that I potentially could create a novel from. So do not get rid of your old stuff, even though you think it's the pits. Just keep a hold of it, because there might be something there that you can use at a future date.